Okay, so I have two stacks. I have two covers and I have two stacks of papers, but I also have some specialty papers to go in here. I'll explain that. So here's one that I measured. Instead of 2 3/4 by 1 3/4, I did 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and I scored it at 1 3/4 so that when I fold that up, I will have a nice little pocket. And I lost my bone folder. So I think that kind of thing needs to be prepped right now. So I'm going to glue that in place. Okay, so that will go in one. That'll be a nice little pocket. And then I probably should make another one. I also did these, which instead of it's 2 3/4, it's 1 3/4 by 3 1/4, and I scored it at the 1 3/8 and 2 3/4. So that gives me, when I fold that one, it gives me this right there. And I'm going to glue that down as well. So that will be a little side pocket on the inside. Very cute. Okay, so that's another pocket. Oh, and I have another one of these I did, this one is 3 3/4 by 2 3/4, and then what I did was on the long way, the 3 3/4, I scored it at 1 3/8, fold it in half, and then what I'm going to do is get a little, let me find my hole punch. I'm going to get a little notch like right here and right here, and then I'm going to glue those sides together. Sure I am. Like right across the top. I said sides. I'm not gluing the sides, I'm gluing the tops. And this is paperweight because I think the paperweight makes a lot better envelope. And so now when this goes in the book, I'll have these two side loading pockets like that. So I think this one had a specialty pocket. This one will have a specialty pocket. So all of this, if it's not too much, should fill a nice little chunky journal in there. We'll see. If it's too many papers, I'll have to take some out. I have some extra ones here just in case. Okay, oops, you know what I didn't do? Okay, so now on that PDF, there is a, let's cut this up so we can use it. What I need is this for poking holes in my work. Okay, let's get our pokey thing out. Okay, you've got to find something really fine to poke with. If you're using like a sewing needle, it needs to be one of your wider needles. So let's work on the cover first. So I'm going to center this on there until it's not exactly the right. Now I can see where that spine is since it's not exactly the same shape. All right, soaps. I'll flip this up so that that hole right there is on the top. And then what I'm going to do is poke these 6 holes. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I also want to poke that hole there. So I think I'm going to do is I'm going to poke a hole right in the center of it, and I'll use my hole puncher to really get that punched in, and then I want this one punched as well. So now I know where all my holes are going to be. Okay. And let's get those big holes taken care of. I want to use the smaller of these holes on here, smaller punches, center it right where I can see that hole right there. There we go. Now, you could do elastic through here and it might hold up well, but I think the eyelets would really be better for that. And we want to set this, oops, wrong thing, set this to C3. Let me see what it's set on now. 3, and I need to find the eyelets that I want to use with this project. I think I might go with the orange since it's already orange on the back. You can skip this part. I need to tell you that too. I'm sorry, but on the spine here, if you don't, this is just for a charm. If you don't want to put a charm loop in there, you can skip that top hole altogether. There we go. And then one on the back. The one on the back needs to be reinforced though, because this is going to have elastic running through it. And again, if you don't want elastic on yours, you could skip this step as well. There we go. All done on the eyelets. You are going to need a needle. It needs to have an eye big enough to be able to get some embroidery floss in there. And I'm thinking what color I want to use. If I just want to stick with white, which I think I might. And we always measure. I lost my pattern here. Always measure enough to tie with, like right about there, and then from the center to that one, to the far one, back to the far left, back to the center, and enough to tie with again. So this is, I'm going to measure this for you. This is just almost 10 inches. I'm going to give it a good 11 because I tend to get paranoid that I'm going to run out. Okay, and this is how many strands? It should be 6, but sometimes I've already taken apart some of the strands. Yes, so I'm going to make this a 3-strand by taking these apart. It doesn't feel like 11 inches when it's all curling up on itself. Okay, now the next thing would be to set apart my first, I like to call them inserts here, or signatures. Okay. So this one's semi done. I want to take these papers and kind of stagger them. Now you know when you bend these, the inside pages stick out farther, so if you don't like that, you'll need to trim them down. Now what I'm trying to figure out is if I have 2 of these, will they fit in here? Yes, it will be pretty chunky, but they'll fit. And if you do without cardstock in the middle, like this one, if you stick with just paper, you won't have quite the bulk and it'll just bend a lot easier. I need to poke the holes in all this, so I'm going to bind it first. Okay, I'm going to poke those holes in here. I'm going to go on the corner here. All the way down, so I can get that through all the layers at once. I don't think so. Just got to twist it a little bit because it's so much paper. I don't usually put this much paper in one signature because I usually do several signatures at once. I mean, several signatures in one junk journal. If you've never done a junk journal, I will give you a link also below to my basic junk journal tutorial. And then this is the other cover. Okay. Now these need to be also secured. I need my, oh, I need to take this off because I need that guide again. going really far in. Okay. So all we need to do now is get this threaded. I'm going to use a needle threader. So poke that through the hole. Get the embroidery floss through that. And there we go. Makes it a lot easier. So to get the first one sewn into the signature, into the first signature sewn into the book here. Oops, which way is right side up? There we go. There we go, like that. So what we're going to do is go down the center and then down the center of these 3 holes. I'm doing the back one first. We're going to leave out enough here to tie. I'm going to hold on to that, and I'm going to come up what's going to be our top hole, and then through the top hole of all of these. Now I'm going to go all the way across to this far left one and down the corresponding hole there. And snug that up a little bit. Oops. Okay, I got those tightened up. So you see, oops. Now, where are we? I'm going to go back through that middle one, but when I come up, I want to go on the other side of the long strand. So the first time, the one end is coming up on this side of that long strand, and this end is coming up on that side. So what I'm going to do is tie those off really tight, and then tie this in a knot. Make sure it's tight on the back. I'm going to do a double knot, but I'm going to give it an extra tie after that because I usually use a thicker thread, but since this is a really tiny journal, I don't want to use thick. And then just trim off the ends there. Okay, so that is the first one. As you can see, the pages are not all even because of the fact that we've got, when you fold them, they get changed. So the inside ones stick out. I'm going to leave it that way, but if you want to trim them, you are more than welcome to. So now we need to get this one sewn in here by threading our needle again. Alrighty, so here we go. Make sure I got the top. Yeah, I want to make sure the pockets are in there the right way. I don't want to get the pockets in there the wrong way. So down through the center, down through the center. Leave enough out to tie a knot. This is going to be a little difficult because I need to really get this thing folded so it will sit in there correctly and tie tightly. Look on the back, make sure there's no loop sticking out. Okay, it is hard kind of working with something so tiny, but you can see that even though the inside of these pages are not even with their covers on the inside, oh cute, that it still all fits snugly within this cover. Now for these holes that I've got here. Now I usually, when I do traveler's notebooks, I usually have this 2mm elastic, but it's going to be too thick for what we're doing. So I have this really narrow elastic. And I know I have more colors in it, but I don't know where at the moment. So I've been using, because a nice friend of mine sent me these dental flossers. Okay. I have to figure out first how much elastic I want. I put the hole in the back instead of here because I don't want another hole here. That's why it's on the back. So it's going to have room to tie, stretch around a little bit like that, and room to tie. So I'm thinking around here somewhere. Okay. Okay, so I have this dental flosser. I'm going to put it in through the back, get one of my ends through there, and pull it. And I'm going to do that again with this end, holding on to this so it doesn't fall through all the way. Okay, back through the dental flosser, and pull the dental floss through again, so that both ends are through. And I need to tie a knot, and I don't want this to come through, so I'm going to put my scissors in this to make sure that I don't pull it through all the way while I tie this knot. Okay, now let's see if that's going to be enough, or, you know, tight enough to go around. Oh yeah, very cute. Ah! Now, I can see that I can tighten this a little bit more, but what I'm thinking is, what happens if I put some things inside here? You know, like little decorations, etc. It would get fatter and fatter. So I have two options. I can shorten this by pulling that even tighter, or leave it as the edge, which I think I will for now. Just melting the ends there. Okay, so now we've got our back. So I ordered these on the advice of someone a long time ago and have just now getting around to using them, which is, I can't believe I bought so many, but anyway, they're like phone charm. These here, they have a lobster claw on one end and they have a loop on the other. So all you have to do is put the loop through your charm hole. I probably shouldn't have put my flosser away. Let me get that back out. Okay, so let's put that through there. Get it almost all the way and just put that loop in there. Pull it through. There we go. Now just put the loop over, oops, the lobster claw, and pull it up, so that when you have your elastic on there, it's a little charm. Very handy. You could also just, you know, use a ribbon or something through there if you want a charm. If you want to dangle that as a charm on something, you don't have to. So another thing I was thinking about was, let's look at a couple of those pockets. Like there was a little tiny pocket here, remember that? And there was this kind of pocket here. What if we were to make a little itty bitty, like a bookmark type thing, or a tag to go in there? So that would be, what's the biggest I could get in there? I would say no wider. I could do it in an inch, but I think since it's glued, it might not, you know, it shortens the distance. I'm thinking 3/4 inches by 1.5 at the most. 3/4 by 1.5. And I have this glittery paper from Doodlebug. Okay, it's cardstock, not paper. Not paperweight. So let's get this. This is already, I just cut that at 1.5. So let's look at 3/4 inch. Oh my goodness, this is going to be really tiny. How cute is that? Eek. If I went around the corners in this, I'd have to do it by hand. So that can go in here. We could put a little tiny hole in the top there, right there, for something, for like a thread or something, you know. And that would fit right in the little pocket there. Cute. And then that one, where'd it go? The one that I did. This is that one here. Remember the pockets on the side? Very cute. I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. So I also have other stickers and tiny little stickers that can go in here. I love the way this comes off the back. I might let it set for a while and decide whether I want to tighten this. I have a feeling that this elastic kind of loses its stretch over a period of time, but it's not going to hurt anything. You just replace the elastic or tighten it up a little bit. So that's that. I hope you enjoy that. You can do this for any season. I mean, seriously, think about Christmas one. Think about, you could put little tiny shakers in there with vellum or with you know, clear page protectors, and use your, if you have a fuse tool, you can do that. So look at the links down below and for the link to the PDF file, or you can just measure this out yourself since I've given you the dimensions on it. Thank you for watching. This has been so fun.